here now that we're going. So I want to thank you guys for jumping on. A lot of you guys out there, I know some of you guys I coach one-on-one through CSC, so I appreciate you guys being here. You know, when Chirag came to me, he had asked about creating a program for people either looking to grow a team or current team members who or team leaders looking to maybe take that next step with their team. So we've been working on a program the last couple months, so I'm excited to dive in here. So let's get started. And if you guys have any questions throughout, throw them in the chat. You know, we only got 30 minutes, so we kind of got to run through it, but let's get going. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. So building the right team for you guys. 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, I joined Compass. I came from another brokerage. I remember, you know, I sat down with Robert Refkin here in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and he told me in 5 to 10 years, individual agents wouldn't exist in real estate. And I laughed. I was like, whatever, right? I'd come over, came from Coldwell Banker, great company, had a team of three and a half, because I call it 3.5 because I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. At that time, teams weren't a thing. I just kind of had to figure it out on my own. So, you know, I kind of dove into it, made a bunch of mistakes, made a bunch of wrong hires, made some good hires, and just kind of limped along. So when I came to Compass, you know, they really gave me the opportunity, the way they were structured, to dive into this team model. So before we get started, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context about myself. That way you can understand. I think it will help as we go through this 11-week session, you know, with your questions and kind of see where I'm coming from. So for you guys that don't know me, I'm a founding agent with the South Lake office in Compass. For those not familiar with Dallas-Fort Worth, South Lake is a suburb kind of right between Dallas and Fort Worth. Compass has offices in Dallas, Fort Worth, and a few other suburbs around. South Lake is right in the middle. We were the second office brought to the DFW Metroplex a little bit over 4 years ago. I came to Compass, roughly 3 to 4 members. Today, I have a team of 11 team members. It's been ups and downs, you know, pluses and minuses, but I hope that these sessions really bring you guys value and really help you guys with your goals and figuring out if a team is the right path you want to do, and if you have a team, you know, hopefully we can make it a little bit better. So, you know, last year as a team, we did a little bit over 105 million in sales. In some places in the country, that's amazing. Some places you guys are probably like, that's not a lot, right? Here in Texas, our price points are, you know, 400 to 700 on average. And as a team, we've done, you know, roughly over 750 million in sales over the last 7-8 years. So that's a little bit about me. I show a picture of my family, and I'm going to get into that here in a minute. So let me bring up the chat here. I am horrible at this Zoom stuff, so I'm going to make sure I've got all this up here. All right, perfect. I'm going to move this over here so I can see what you guys are saying. So again, feel free to chime in with any questions, anything as we go along. So let's dive in. So I know a lot of people around the office, they always hear me say the word self-awareness. I just plug it into my team all the time. You know, a lot of people out there want to start a team, or they have a team and they're stuck, right? And I feel the most important thing, whether you're an individual agent you're a team with 50 people, a team with 2 people. You've got to be self-aware. I like to call it the new why, right? Why do you want to start a team? So many people just jump into it. They add buyer agents, and then 6-8 months down the road, they're like, what the hell am I doing, right? So the first thing is you need to figure out why you wanted to join a team. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a real quick story. It was about 6 years ago, before I was at Compass. I was an individual agent 6-7 years ago. We were spring break. So I'll go back to this picture. That's my daughter, Mia and Elle. So at the time they were probably 5 and 8. You know, business was great. I like to say I was running on just adrenaline. Individual agent, working 80 hours a week, but I didn't care. I was making money, right? Woohoo! We could go places, we could take trips, we could go wherever we wanted, we could buy nice things. It was great, right? So spring break, we went to New York City, right? So excited. My daughter Mia was at the age, she was really into Disney, into princesses, right? So I buy front row tickets to Aladdin on Broadway. Okay. Everyone's excited. She wears her little princess dress, has her wand. We go in, front row. My kids are just amazed. Show starts, great. You know, with Broadway shows, there's an intermission. There might be 2 intermissions. So at the end of the first intermission, right before the intermission started, I look at my phone. Of course, as real estate agents, that's what we do, right? And it's just blowing up. Voicemail, text, call me. Hey, we've got an issue. Call me. And I'm just like, oh goodness. So go out into the hall, kids get popcorn, ice cream. I go to my wife, Vanessa, there in the picture, and I go, hey, take the girls back in. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be back in. And I'm sure, you know, I can see some of you guys smiling. You've all been in this situation similar with your family. So I go back and I call the client, and, you know, it was a listing I had, and the deal exploded. And then I got another message and another deal exploded. I thought someone was playing a joke on me. So I told my wife, hey, I'll be back in a minute. You guys go back in and enjoy the show. I promise I'll be back in there. An hour and a half later, when the show ended and my kids come walking out, I'm still on my phone in the hall. And I'm just putting out fires and I'm sending text messages. And my oldest daughter, Elle, who you see there in the picture, at the time was 8, 9 years old. She started understanding what daddy does for a living. He works a lot. She comes up to me and goes, Daddy, all you do is work. And I mean, you could have picked up this pencil right here and just stuck it in my side of my head. And the funny thing is, I know a lot of you guys don't know me. I am the most optimistic person you'll meet. You give me an idea, I'm like, let's go, right? Let's do it. And then I walk away and I go, oh crap, how am I going to figure this out? But I figured it out, right? My wife is the pessimist. It's what if this happens? What if this happens? The ironic thing is, she pulled me to the side and goes, hey, Tommy, this isn't stopping. You know, all this stuff is great, but now your kids are hurt by it and they know what you do for a living. And this is going to continue to be this way. So you need to figure it out. And of all people, it was my wife that totally flipped my mindset, because Tommy, the popular real estate agent in town with this confident demeanor on the outside to people, really on the inside, I was always thinking, oh my gosh, is my phone ever going to ring again, right? And it was my wife that told me, look, this isn't stopping. This isn't luck. You're really good at your job, so you need to figure it out. So that's when I knew I had to start a team, because the individual thing was great. The money was great, all of that. But you know what? When you're working 90 hours a week and you're miserable, it affects your home life. It affects your health. It affects everything. So I tell you that story just so you can kind of know where I come from when we dive into all of this. I'm really passionate about real estate, but I think more importantly, your family, your health, how everything ties together to that is just as important, or else you're just putting a Band-Aid on a wound. So self-awareness, understanding what you're good at and what your weaknesses are, right? So most agents, we're all type A type people, right? And we think we're good at everything. That was my biggest struggle. I wanted to I couldn't take my hands off everything. But I quickly, once I understood self-awareness, what I was good at and what I was bad at, I quickly understood how I could build my business. So I would say if you get anything out of today, no matter where you're at in the stage of your career, with your team, with no team, whatever it is, you've got to figure out your why. Why do you want to build this team? And if you have this team, why do you want to build it bigger, right? Is it money? Is it you want to give back? For me, I wanted to spend time with my kids, right? I wanted to see them grow up. So first, you've got to figure that out, right? Secondly, you've got to figure out what you're bad at and figure out what you're good at. I hate that. Me, I knew you put me in front of a client, and I know Denny and I have talked about this. I coached Denny one-on-one through CSC. You put me in front of a client, you put Denny in front of a client, we're going to get the deal, right? We're going to take people out to show homes. We're going to get them the deal. You put me in a listing presentation, I'm going to get the deal. Like, I'm not worried about that. Now give me the contract to turn in and get it to the title company. My team operations manager makes fun of me all the time because 2 times I tried to help her out with that and I sent the contract to the wrong title company. Like, the paperwork side, and I see a lot of you guys laughing because you know that's the crazy thing about our business, right? You know, it's not black and white. We're not lawyers, we're not surgeons, we're not attorneys where there's one path, right? I think that's the greatest thing about our business because it gives us that flexibility to grow so many ways, but it's also the most difficult thing because we don't have a clear path. And for me, figuring out my weaknesses were great. Like, I was not organized. Hell, I didn't have a database before I came to Compass, and I was selling, you know, doing 70 transactions a year by myself. People were like, what the hell? How the hell you're doing it? I don't know. My friends on Facebook, the neighbor, the soccer coach, they just call me, right? So I once I understood what I was good at, that allowed me to start my process of growing my team. So I cannot stress it more and more about self-awareness. You guys in the chat, I just kind of want to see, you know, let's get a little vulnerable. What are some of the weaknesses you struggle with in your business that you feel a team would help you with? Awesome. Organization, paperwork, organization. This is great. So I know Chirag has shown a pinwheel, especially at his event in Boston, about the tasks of a real estate agent. And, you know, there was like 30 of them in a circle, and then you're right in the middle, right? And how Compass can help with all of that, and how a team can help with all of that. You know, people on the outside just think we're order takers, right? But in the end, we're the facilitator of the biggest financial decision of their life. I say this to a lot of the people I coach, you know, when you check in, when you go to the doctor, right? Or when you go for surgery, or when you go wherever, does the surgeon check you in at the table, right? Do they hand you the clipboard to fill out the paperwork? Then why the hell are you doing the paperwork for your client? Why are you turning it in? Why are you getting it listed on MLS? Why are you loading the photos? So I'm super excited over the next 11 weeks. We are going to dive into a lot. Everything from, how to start a team all the way through systems, processes, all of that. So I see a lot of the answers on here that you guys put in. Leah Bell, you love to work with buyers. However, they take time. They take 24 hours, right? We know that buyers take forever, but you're really good at it, right? So how do we scale that, right? Again, so maybe you don't need a bunch of buyers agents for your team. Maybe you just need more back-end help. My mentor in real estate, Chad Collins, his office is about four doors down from here. Love Chad to death, so I can say this. He will not take his damn hands off anything, right? The guy does 160 million in sales, does 150 transactions a year. He's got all back-end help, right? Because he wants to be involved in every single transaction, right? He also prints all of his emails, so he's a little old school, but that's a whole other session. So the big thing is back to what I said. Understanding yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses. It's as simple as a T-chart, guys. So for your homework, I want you to go through. On the left side, let's write down what you're good at. On the right side, what you're bad at. And usually those bad things are also what you need help with, what you don't like to do, right? And as we dive in over the next 11 weeks, we're going to figure out how to plug those pieces, the gaps, what Chirag calls it, fill in those gaps. One of the biggest things that I have realized over my career is that as you grow in real estate, your passions, your goals, your thoughts, which you thought was right, which you think is wrong, those things change, and that's okay. Again, it's back to that. This isn't a black and white industry, right? And so many people struggle with it. And for me, it took me, 7 years to figure it out, but I finally did. In the beginning, I was a rocket ship. It was all about money, making money. Woohoo, woohoo, I can buy a cool car. Woohoo, that's great. But you know what? Now I don't care. I don't care about that stuff, right? I care about living a great life, a life where I can go home at 5 o'clock, where on the weekends I go watch my daughter play in her golf tournaments. I mean, this Friday and Saturday, I'm going to be in my daughter's golf tournament all day, right? 5, 6 years ago, no way in hell I could have done that. And the other thing to think about is maybe you're okay with that, right? Maybe you're okay with working a lot. That's fine. There's no knock on it. Again, it's how you want to structure your business and your team. But I truly believe, and back to that conversation with Robert 4 years ago, when I laughed at him when he said there won't be individual agents in 10 years, I 1000% believe that now. If you think about it, think about the pace of our business. Just think over the last 2 years, how the business has changed, guys, a buyer agent, right? How has the value of a buyer agent changed? And I know I'm getting off a little bit of the team thing, but 15 years ago, people didn't have this thing. Buyers have this right now. So do they need to come to you for the school ratings to find the local restaurants? Do they need to come to you to figure out the fastest way to work? No. Gary Vaynerchuk is the guy I follow all the time, and he always makes this comment. This thing right here is more power. This is a more powerful computer than Ronald Reagan had in the 80s to run the free world. It's faster, it's quicker, it's smarter. So not only for you, but for your team, how do those roles adjust? It's this business changes drastically. And I feel like at Compass, with the tools and everything they've provided us, it sets us ahead of everyone else and gives us that opportunity to stay in front of everyone. You know, the market's changing mostly all over the country. And I've always said, this is where Compass is going to shine. You know, a year ago, if you put your home on the market, didn't matter if they used you. I hate to say it, it makes me want to vomit, but they could use Sally, the lunch lady, who did it for 1%, because she still got them 15 offers. You probably would have got them 20 offers, but it didn't matter, right? So moving forward, you know, this is all stuff you definitely want to think about. Let's move on to the next slide here. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. So this was just a definition. We kind of covered it. If you cannot identify your strengths and weaknesses, it's very difficult to build the right team for you. And that's just the truth. I would write that down, take a picture with your phone. You know, that was the one thing that I learned, because I thought I could do it all, right? But it's almost like a plague. I hate to use that word, but I slowly, because of all those things I wasn't good at and I didn't enjoy doing, it slowly ate away at me. It slowly ate away at me, right? And for the most part, every one of you does very, very well, right? The money is the easy part. But if you're not happy, what's so good about the money, right? I love it. Julian put, money is important if you do not have it, right? Back end support, Ethan, that seems to be on the comments, support, back end support, right? That's what we all want, because we're all salesmen, right? We can go out and get the business. So let's dive into what we're going to cover over the next 11 weeks, right? So this first week, we basically talked about, you know, why you want to build a team, finding your why, right? So I think you guys have some good contents for going into next week. You know, figure out why you want to do that. Is it support? Is it time? Is it money? Hell, that's fine, right? Because once we figure that out, then we can structure your team for success. Because if you go bring on a bunch of people that, you know, don't share your same values, don't have the same direction, don't have the same clarity, you're just putting a Band-Aid on a wound, I promise, because I've done it. My team has done this 3 or 4 times, right? I think I finally have it figured out, but you never have it figured out, right? And before we dive into this, I'm looking at my notes. You know, clarity it ties to that self-awareness, right? Without clarity, and this is something I've struggled with a lot, you've got to have clarity on what your direction is, because clarity ties directly to your motivation, right? And if you're not clear on where you want your team to go or where you want your business to go, you're never going to have that motivation to get to that next level, right? So always keep that in mind. You've got to be clear with where you want to go. So over the next 11 weeks, we're going to dive in. We're going to have a 3-part session. Today, we kind of covered the why, right? Next week's going to be great. It's probably going to be, I would say, one of the most important sessions. The only 4 reasons agents join a team. And I'm not going to tell them to you because then I'd give it away. But that one's going to be really, really good. Because if you're looking to recruit, you're going to need to fully understand those 4 reasons on why agents want to join a team. Then we're going to get into team models, right? Historically, there are only 4 types of team models. With the way the business is trending now, those have kind of narrowed down to 2. So we'll get into those team models and let you guys kind of figure out what works for you or what you're currently doing. And then the ultimate question, who is your first hire, right? And I've got a lot of good opinions on that. I'm going to let you guys chime in. a lot with that. So that's going to be kind of part one over the first 4 weeks. How do you get this thing started, right? Part two is going to be into the systems and a little bit of the recruiting, right? So once you kind of have your clarity of where your direction is, we're going to define your systems. What systems do you need? Some agents need certain systems. Some agents need these systems, right? So it's figuring out what those are. Is it the back end help? Is it buyer agents? Is it a listing agent? Is it a listing coordinator, a team manager? What is that? So we're going to go through clearly defining what systems would work for you. Then we're going to break that down a little bit into, okay, you've got your overall team systems. We're going to go into agent systems. What systems do you want to put in place for your team? Do you run your team with a tight leash, or are you a little more loose with your team, right? And then one of the most important things moving forward, guys, and the biggest advantage I feel we have at Compass is recruiting. How do we recruit top talent? Write this down. In the next 4 months, this is your opportunity to get the best agents on your team, because we're seeing a change in the market. And these agents that had a great year the last 2 years and they're an individual agent, they're not having that year this year or next year. And they're going to start to think, maybe I do need that support, right? So over the next 3 or 4 months, this is the time to go out and get those top agents. I'm going to show you how to leverage Compass and the Compass tools to go get those agents within Compass and without of Compass. And then how the heck do you keep those agents? How do we retain those? So that's going to be the end of part two. And then lastly, part three is going to be more into, see here, team management, our favorite, right? Splits, incentives. What splits work for you? Coaching Compass agents all over the country now, I've learned that each region has different ways they operate. You know, in the Northwest, there's caps involved. I didn't realize that was with Compass, right? In some areas. So we're going to go through team splits, kind of get my thoughts on what's worked for me. I'm going to give you my whole outline of how I built my team. I think that's one of the best benefits of me being a Compass agent. On my wall up here, it says real big, collaborate without ego. That's my biggest thing, right? That's what separates us Compass agents apart from the other brokerages. Team incentives. What things can you do with your team to incentivize them, to keep them going, to give them that motivation? And then lastly, we're going to do, in the last week, we're going to have a do-over. Basically, a Q&A with me, with you guys. We might break off into small little groups, and I'm going to share a little bit about what, you know, if I had to do it all over, what I would have done different. So that's kind of an outline of the 11-week sessions. If you guys have any questions, you know, you can always reach out to me. I know we're going to put my Instagram team and my individual handles here in the chat. That way you guys can follow me. You can send me an email directly with anything. But I appreciate you guys. I'm looking forward to it. And again, if you guys need anything, just reach out to me, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you very much, Tommy.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tommy. Can't wait.
Thank you.